Very good evening to you all. It is a wonderful evening indeed. Almost 3 months since we are in this lockdown. Changing mindsets for changing times. That's the theme that we have chosen for this evening. We have with us a very renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Tejas Upasani. He is a computer-assisted joint replacement surgeon, has been practicing for over 12 years. He is the managing director of and consultant orthopedic surgeon and joint replacement surgeon for the Upasani Super Specialist Specialty Hospital in Mulund. He's got a brilliant academic career, has been a gold medalist in surgery, presented many papers both at national and international conferences. He has also been to the C.H.A.N.G.E.S hospital in New York for a fellowship in replacement. And I think it is more than a pleasure to have with us a student of Srimati Sulochana Devi Singhania School. And I especially have great pride in saying that and welcoming Dr. Tejas Upasani. Not just, thank you very much for coming in, and not just as a great surgeon, but also as a student of the school, an alumni of the school. I think he passed out in 1993. And what is really going to be the crux of what we speak today? We've been just talking about COVID, post-COVID, and I think it's just and lockdown and what our mood swings are and what has happened and what are the kind of changes we are seeing. What is really important for us to do is to accept everything, remove fear, and start looking at what's going to be ahead. Dr. Upasani is just going to help us do that. Talking to us not just about COVID as such, but the kind of preparations that we as parents, teachers, and students can make, the changes that we can bring about in our lives, the kind of caution and precautionary measures that we must take while we are handling all of this is really going to be what Dr. Tejas Upasani is going to be speaking to us. Join me in welcoming Dr. Tejas, and on to you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and for being with us today.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible to everyone? So thank you, Revati ma'am, for your kind introduction. It's a great pleasure to be on my school's YouTube channel to be talking about COVID. And rather than COVID, talking about how we can change our mindsets about this new thing which has come into our life. So I'll start with my screen sharing. Changing mindsets for changing times. What is this changing time? As we all are aware, and all of us are going through this different kind of a thing, this COVID times. This is quite unprecedented. I don't think we have come across such a situation where more than half of the world is under lockdown. We ourselves are under the lockdown for almost 3 months now. And that's a long period where we are so used to be working, moving around. In our daily life, we hardly have time to look around us. But now everything is changed. Secondly, there is a lot of fear of this novel coronavirus. And I believe that's because there is no so-called cure for it. And secondly, because maybe it's highly contagious. And believe me, this is something new for even the medical fraternity. We have also not experienced something like this in a long time. So in the Western world, especially, they do not encounter much of infectious diseases. Though in India, we do come across them, but the Western world is completely unaware of these infectious diseases. And this is a new kind of infectious disease. So change is the only constant in life. And I would like to emphasize on this. These are the words of a famous Greek philosopher by the name Heraclitus. And how we react to this change will determine our future. And every one of us is going to react in a different way. But let's react in a positive way, accepting this change. Now, coming to COVID, I'm sure most of you are aware of what it is. It's caused by a virus. And what are the symptoms? I'll just reiterate that so that we are all on the same page. So, what's the most common symptoms of COVID? It is dry cough, fever, weakness, and body ache. So, if you see, these are not anything very different. They are like a normal flu, the symptoms. So, as long as these symptoms are there, maybe you are not so bad. There are some less common symptoms like diarrhea, sore throat, headache, loss of sense of taste and smell. And there are some severe symptoms like breathlessness, chest pain, or pressure in the chest, loss of speech or loss of movement, which very much looks like stroke. If you develop these symptoms, you must seek immediate medical attention. On an average, a patient will take around 5 to 6 days to develop the symptoms after getting exposed to either a patient who is COVID positive or if he comes in close contact with a person who is COVID positive. So just to make it a little easier for me to talk, I have made a small abbreviation of changes. So the C stands for our children and the three C's. H for health, A for attitude as well as adaptability, N for negativity, G for growth, E to empower yourself for empowerment, and S for social distancing. C for our children, because we are talking about a school and we are very much concerned about our kids. So if you see the epidemiology of this infection, it seems that it doesn't affect children much. And there are reasons for this. The the first reason would be that the children have less receptors to which the virus can bind. And that is why they are not so susceptible to it. Second, their immune system doesn't react the same way as how the adult immune system reacts to this virus. And if you are aware of how this virus affects the body, it's one is it affects the lungs of the person, or secondly, it affects the immune system and it causes a very hyper reaction and what we call as the cytokine storm. And lastly, we as parents, we as elders in the house are much more careful about our children. We take extra care that they don't mix up, they don't do anything which will expose them to the virus. And these are the reasons why the children, luckily, do not get much affected by this infection. And that's a good news. Again, also the C, I want you to remember the three C's. So the first C is to cover. And these three C's, I want everybody to know it really well. So cover your mouth whenever you're sneezing or you're coughing. And how can you cover it? Either with the crook of your elbow, or you can take a tissue paper and cover your mouth and you dispose of the tissue immediately in a dustbin. So it is always better to use a tissue paper rather than a napkin. If a tissue is not available, then maybe a napkin is okay, but then it immediately needs to be washed in warm water. Second, clean. And what are you going to clean? You're going to clean your hands. And how are you going to do that? Is of course with soap and water. And you're going to wash your hands with soap and water for 20 seconds. And I think this is emphasized everywhere on your collar tune, on the television. And it's about the time it takes to sing happy birthday twice. So that is how you're going to tell your kids. You can sing happy birthday twice. Until then, you're going to keep on washing your hands with soap and water. And last is to contain. And what is that? You're going to contain yourself if you're not feeling well. Again, this is very important. And this is what we can call as self quarantining. So if you're feeling unwell, if you're having the symptoms which I mentioned, especially if you're having dry cough, fever, and weakness, it's always better that you stay in a separate room with an attached bathroom to it, and don't interact with any of your family members uh, till the time you don't feel better, or a little bit longer after you start feeling better also. H. So we are going for the change. We're done with the C and we'll go for H. And I have put H for health. And I think it is very important in today's trying times. It's very important for us to help each other, help those in need. And I think in this way, it makes you feel really good if you're able to help somebody who is in distress. It gives you a very good feeling of well being from inside. Share your feelings. It's a difficult time for most of us. Share your feelings with your loved ones, and I'm sure you will feel much better. Talk to your kids. Talk to your kids about this different time. Anyways, it was vacation time now, but then things are going to take still a little long for them to have a normal life, going back to the school, maybe going outdoors. I'm sure they're missing going outdoor and playing outdoor games, running around, cycling. So uh, you need to talk to your kids, understand from them how they feel, and I'm sure doing this is going to help you and help your kids also. A. So C.H.A.N.G.E.S for your attitude and your adaptability. Attitude is very important. You have to have a positive attitude. And I'm telling you why you should be having a positive attitude. So, on the media, you see every day there is this one thing: so many patients came positive. So many patients, so many police came positive, so many medical professionals came positive. It's okay if they are coming positive because this is contagious disease. But almost 80% of the patients have mild symptoms, very mild symptoms. So it's like any flu, maybe you will be having fever, you'll be having cough, and you'll be feeling tired. So, and I believe we will be lucky if you're in that 80%. So the second more thing which should make you feel positive is most patients are recovering without much of an intervention. So though there is no so-called cure for this, but most of them are recovering. If you see yesterday itself, there were some 8,000 odd people who have recovered out of this. And only a small percentage, which is approximately 5% of the population, might get critical and may require ICU care. So I want you people to focus on the positive part. So this is just a diagrammatic way of showing it. You can see that the 81% patients were mild cases, 14 severe, and 5 were critical. I don't want to talk about this. We all know the mortality is around 2 to 3%. A. A is very important again. So we need to appreciate each other, appreciate the small things around us, feel happy about it, appreciate what your family members are doing. Because of the lockdown, there are some very good things about it and some maybe not so good things, but we are getting to spend more time with our family members. But at the same time, since we don't have any domestic help, all the work needs to be done. Some people have to work from home. So people like doctors have to go out and work in the hospitals, which is like the war zone, and being exposed to patients. But try and appreciate, give your family members the confidence that yes, I'm happy you're doing, we all are trying, and I'm sure we will win over this also. Be patient, and I'm sure this too will pass. N for negativity. I want to remove this negativity. There is so much fear in everybody's mind about all this. Yes, we need to be careful. I'm not saying you be careless. We need to be careful. We need to change our habits. We need to uh, follow the guidelines which our government, the WHO gives us. We need to wear masks. We need to maintain social distance. We need to keep washing our hands. and we need to avoid touching our face again and again. So I want that you remove the negativity, stop spreading fear. You know, don't forward unnecessary messages which have a lot of negativity in them. Doesn't help anybody. It is just not helping anybody by sending negative messages here and there. Watch less of this news channels. And I don't even watch news channels these days because it's just the same thing. So many numbers increased, there were so many deaths. That's all they are talking about. Is it that before COVID people were not dying? Of course they were dying, but due to some other reasons. So there is no point just saying so many came positive, so many died. See the positive parts, see that people are recovering, most people are doing well and they're coming out of it. Then lastly, use your common sense. Don't believe in everything that there's on media, and don't believe on everything that's there on WhatsApp. Most of the times the WhatsApp messages are not true. I like this diagram about, will COVID-19 kill me? And it says, do you plan to stay inside for the next 2 years or until there is herd immunity? So, and it's a fun thing. So if you say yes, you will not die from COVID-19. That's fine. So you're going to be home for 2 years. If it's no, you will get COVID, 80% chance it's mild or asymptomatic, and you wouldn't even know you had COVID. Are you under 19 and healthy? Yes. So again, you come back to this. If you are not healthy, are you under 50? So yes, if you're under 50, there's only a 0.04% chance of dying. And if you see, as the age increases, the chances of death happening due to COVID go on increasing. And especially beyond 70, it's a little higher. And these are the people around, I would say, above 60 itself, those whom we need to be more careful about. So the people who are above, around maybe above 50, we can just generalize, but I would say it's the age which is the exact criteria. It's your physiology. If you are like maybe 60 but you're like very active, you're mental, emotionally, you're very good, you're exercising, you're doing everything, I think your immunity is good enough. But we need to be careful with people who are on the higher side of the age. So that also stands for our teachers who are senior. They need to be careful. Now, if we have grandparents with us staying with children, again, we need to be careful. Or we are moving out, suppose the lockdown eases and we are going to go out of our houses. So we need to be careful when we have old people at home. And what do we mean by being careful is that we maintain distance from them. We don't go too close. It's a normal thing for us, the children, to go and hug their grandparents. But if the children are going out, not like once in a while, if they're going down, I think that's okay. But if they're going in a crowded place, if you are going in a crowded place, then you need to maintain social distance. And also maybe if you are getting exposed to older people, wear a mask also. G for growth. Now, the good thing about the lockdown was we had a lot of time to ourselves, and I hope you utilized it for your growth, which may be your physical growth, your mental growth, as well as the emotional growth. So, of course, because of the lockdown, you couldn't do your outdoor activities, the gyms were shut, but you could have easily exercised at home. There are so many ways you can do floor exercises. You could do yoga to maintain good physical health, and that will help you for building up your immunity. You could have done good meditation, which would help you become mentally stronger. Keep yourself away from negative people. Think out of the box. And this is very important. And this is what uh, your adaptability part comes. So think out of the box for your work, for your business. Like, I think that's what I was just discussing with Revati ma'am. It's good that this lockdown came when we have internet and we have smartphones and we have laptops, because so much of the work can be done sitting at home. Even we are having virtual classes where the children are, they're not wasting their time, they are being utilizing their time to learn something. And lastly, about your emotional growth. So again, as I said, because there was a lockdown, you could connect with your partner well, with your family much better. you're spending quality time with them, with your children. Maybe you could play indoor games, have a good emotional connect with the people around you, talking with them, and also helping in the daily chores because there was no domestic help. And I think doing all this builds a real good bond between you, your family, and that helps you to become emotionally much stronger. And last is about the change is E, the empathy, educate and evaluate. Have empathy for those who are not well. It is not their fault that they have got unwell, and it's not that anybody can fall in. So be empathetic towards them, help people out when they are in difficulty, and if you do that, I'm sure you will feel much better, you will feel much positive, and I'm sure that will help us to get out of this faster. Educate yourself and people around you to take the necessary precautions, and don't go overboard, don't get paranoid about things. It's not that if you just go down in your society and have a small walk in your in the open ground in your building that you're going to get COVID. The thing you need to avoid is to avoid crowded places, to avoid coming too close to not known people, or to come close to people who are unwell. So these are the precautions which you need to take. Learn, educate yourself, and help educate people who don't understand. Lastly, evaluate the information you get. So, as we are so well connected via media, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, whatnot, but try and analyze whatever information is coming to you. Like just maybe 2 3 days back, there was this WhatsApp message that the locusts are going to come, and the locusts are already reached Goregaon, they already reached Vikroli, and there were some videos also on WhatsApp, and then you come to know it was all rubbish. There was no locus, there was nothing. So we need to evaluate in the information that we are getting and not believe everything that's there. And lastly is S for social distancing, and I feel that's the most important part, and the most important message which needs to be followed at home as well as outside. See, as we are Indians, we like to come close to our friends, to our family, and this is something which we are not at all very happy about. But I think we need to follow this, especially when you are outside. And like once, if you start moving outside your house and you are meeting people, you are using public transport, uh, then you need to follow this at home as well. So the spread of the virus is mostly through coming in close contact with a person who's unwell. Wearing a mask, keeping a distance of a meter at least, that's the minimum distance, will help prevent disease transmission. And lastly, I would also like to emphasize about places where people sit together and have food. Like if there are right now we are not working, even the schools are not working, but even later on when we start working, when there are people coming to a cafeteria, when they're sitting and talking, the thing is when you're eating and talking at the same time, your chances of transmitting the infection would be higher because there's no mask. And if you're not maintaining social distance, the infection can be transmitted quite easily. So I would end my talk with this saying by Buddha. There are two ways to be happy. One is change the situation. A second, change your mindset towards it. And I think we all need to do the second thing. And I believe if you used your time, if you have a positive attitude towards everything, I don't think Corona can do anything to us. We all will surely come out of this uh, more stronger and more healthier and with more productivity. Thanks.
Uh, Thank you so much, Doctor. We'll be doing a Q&A with the audience now. So I
Mhm.
would request the audience to share their questions on the WhatsApp comment box.
Okay.
as to, basically then we can do a small Q&A. So handing over the parents. Thank you so much.
Before I go for the question answers, I would just like to show the masks and how you're supposed to wear them.
Sure.
Uh, so we have very different kinds of masks available, and I believe people should know what kind of mask they should be using and when they need to use a mask. So whenever you are alone, you don't need to wear a mask. Okay, especially like if you're driving a car, if you're walking on an empty street, there's no need to wear a mask. But when you are in a crowded area where you see people are going to be, that there are a lot of people around you, it's always better that you have a mask on. And there are different kinds of masks available. So you have this kind of a cloth mask, which is multi-layered cloth mask, and which is the most commonly used. You can see that it's got an elastic band which you can uh, hook it behind your ear, and this becomes easy to put and easy to remove also. The important thing is, once you've been using the mask, it's advisable not to touch the outer side of the mask. So you should be touching only these elastic bands to just remove it, and don't touch it and put it to wash it. And you need to wash it with warm water and soap. Then you have a surgical mask which looks like this, and you can see it has got a white line here, and that white line should be on the top and this side should be on the lower side. It is a metal strip which will contour around your nose, and that will help it to sit firmly on your nose. And those who wear glasses usually have a problem with a mask because it causes fogging of your glasses. So this is a surgical mask which is usually used by doctors in the hospitals. You can use these also, but these cannot be reused. So you need to throw them after one use. And then we come to the N95 mask, which has become very popular. And it is, the N95 stands because it filters around 95% of the virus if you are in an area where the viral load is high. Again, it has got two elastic bands. And when you're wearing this, again, you put it like this on your nose and mouth, and then put these elastic bands on the top of your head. As I said, the outer part of the mask is mostly contaminated. So you're not supposed to touch the outer side whenever you're removing it. This mask can be reused if you're keeping it in a clean place. But again, it is not very recommended for general people. It is mainly for doctors, and it is especially for doctors working in ICUs, because it's not a very comfortable mask. You can't really breathe so easily with this kind of a mask. So these are the general masks which are in use. Any queries? And I think I can answer them. Uh, Rajesh?
We have started getting the questions on the chat box, sir. So you may
Yeah.
pick up the questions one by one and start answering. Thank you.
Okay, so I think there's one question about health infrastructure in our city. I believe we all are aware that the health infrastructure is quite lacking in our city. And this is not just happening today, but it's been a long time since. The problem with our country as well as our city is that the number of people which we need to handle is very high. So even if I showed you some percentages over there, now if you calculate, India is a country of 130 crore people. Now if you calculate, if 2% of that or 5% of that, it becomes a huge number. And I'm sure we do not have that much, but I still feel, as we said, 80% are going to be good, not going to have much of a problem, have mild symptoms. What happens is the fear sometimes takes over you too much, and that can cause more problems than the actual disease. So the health infrastructure, I believe the government is trying to increase, but it is not a very easy job to be done, because the health infrastructure just doesn't mean putting on more beds. You need trained people to take care of these ill patients and critically ill patients. So they're trying to get doctors from outside the state also, and I think they're trying their best. Yeah, so actually this, it is not a virus, it is an antibody. I think that's a wrong statement by somebody. It is a virus, and that virus causes an immune response in our body, which makes the body form antibodies to the virus, and that's the right answer. Okay, so there is a question about surface transmission. So the main transmission of this virus is via aerosol generation, and that happens when we talk, when we cough, when we sneeze. So, or when we laugh out also loudly. So that is the aerosol which is coming out from our mouth. And if you are close by, the aerosol may go to you directly on your mouth or to your nose and then go into your lungs. That's the commonest way of transmission. The second way of transmission, that is the surface transmission, is not a direct method of transmission. And the CDC believes that's not a very important method of transmission of the virus. It is a possibility theoretically that if a person coughs or sneezes, the virus may land on the surface. And if incidentally you happen to touch the surface and then touch your nose or your mouth or your eyes, then you might get the disease. So I don't think that is a big problem of surface, but wherever there is too much movement of people, those surfaces need to be sanitized on a regular basis. Like if it's a hospital, if it's an office, or maybe if it's a school later on, if people are moving in and out, touching the handles, it's always better to get them sanitized. Also, it is better to keep your surroundings clean, use a good sanitizing solution to clean your floor. So the commonest used one is hypochlorite. Another question is a good question about posture, because most of the people are going to have virtual classes now, and I believe our children are also going to have virtual classes. It's very important that you assign a desk and a good chair for them to sit properly, have a good posture. And what do we mean by a good posture is see to it that your screen is at your eye level so that they don't have to strain their neck while looking at the screen either up or down. Secondly, the chair needs to have a proper armrest so that the arms can be rested well while writing or typing anything. The back also needs to have a proper back support. Secondly, everybody should take a break after 40 to 45 minutes of continuous sitting. See to it that they also have a footrest so that the feet can be on a level higher, so that that keeps the legs also supported. Doing all these things will give a good posture and will not cause neck or back issues. And also, as I said, it's important that they do some kind of a physical activity at home. I think the best would be to do yoga or to do Surya Namaskar if you know how to do it well, because it gives you a very balanced stretching of your spine, both bending forwards as well as bending backwards. Okay, what's the real picture that's unfolding around us and how distant are we from normal world? I think we need to redefine our normal world. So, even I can't answer that question to be perfect about how or when we will be back to a normal world. But I think looking at it, if we have started to develop herd immunity, that is that if many people are asymptomatic who have already got infected and developed immunity, but there is no way we can know that until and unless we have the antibody testing, and maybe that may come in another 2-3 months. But I think we need to change the definition of our normal world. We'll have to maintain social distance. We'll have to wear masks, especially when we are moving out of the house. And that is going to be our new normal. Can Corona recur? I doubt it can recur. Not a very scientific answer, but usually the immunity that the body develops to these viruses should last quite a long time until and unless the virus mutates. Now, if the virus mutates, one, it can lose its virulence, that is its infectivity and its the its ability to cause disease. It may reduce, so then it is good, and maybe we'll be better off faster. But it should, corona cannot recur. So there were some studies which showed that the RT-PCR test was coming positive even for a long time, and then they thought maybe it is the dead virus's RNA which is left which was causing it to come positive. Please suggest authentic ways to improve immunity of our children and elders. I think improving immunity includes doing some kind of a physical exercise. And right now, as I said, we will have to do it at home, and yoga is really good to do that. Second, in your diet, include vitamin C. I'm sure you know which foods contain vitamin C. All the citrus fruits are rich in vitamin C. Amla is a very good source of vitamin C. Increase the intake of zinc in your diet, and you get zinc mainly from meat, fish, and also from seeds such as pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, and also from legumes. So include all these in your diet. Also take good amount of proteins. Also get good sun exposure, because sun exposure is going to give you good amount of vitamin D, and all this is going to help you build good immunity. Now, I hope that answers the question on improving immunity. I have a black color as a medical store. That's not understood. Okay, so please tell something about children who like to play and can't go outside. I think our government and the local bodies need to come up with guidelines for this. I believe if the children with their parent go out and do cycling, which is an activity which doesn't maybe there is no crowding, there is no interaction with other kids. That's a good activity. I don't know why we should stop our kids from doing that. The main thing is you avoid too much of intermingling of people, or avoid crowding, and avoid people coming too close to each other. If you avoid this, I think going out a little, or maybe going to your terrace, but I would suggest for the time being it should be with parental guidance. That should be good. Can we use handkerchief as a mask? You can use a handkerchief as a mask, but see to it that you form at least 3-4 layers of your handkerchief, so that it filters more things. So a handkerchief can be used as a mask, and you can reuse it by washing in warm water and with a detergent. Advice on cleaning the groceries, vegetables, and milk pouches. So as I said, the surface transmission is not the main mode of transmission of the virus. So you really don't need to get paranoid washing your vegetables with antiseptics. That's not recommended at all. Instead, it might cause more damage to you, because all these liquids, Dettol and all, are not meant for internal use. So as long as you're cooking your vegetables well, the heat is going to destroy all the viruses that are there. So I would advise people to use, not to use raw foods, use cooked food. And I think then you need not worry about the vegetables. You need not, if you're washing your vegetables properly with a little bit of warm water, adding a little bit of soda, I don't think there is any problem. Uh, for fruits, if you're using, if you can remove the skin of the fruit and then use the fruit, again, you have no issues. And I believe most fruits are with skin. So if you just discard the skin, the internal side of your fruit is not going to be infected by the virus. So this is not the main mode of transmission of the virus. But of course, you're going to wash your hands, you're going to wash the vegetables, and then only use. And as I said, you're going to cook, you're not going to use uncooked food, not raw food. How far the aerosol can travel. Now there are various studies on this. So some studies have come up to 6 feet. So it all depends on if there's a cuff. When you're cuffing there is going to be a more force in the aerosol that's generated. But when you're talking, the aerosol generation is going to be very minimal, and that cannot go beyond maybe a meter. But if somebody is coughing, you need to be really far from them and see to it that their face is turned in the other direction and you face the other way, because maybe you can't just run away if there is no space around. And that is the importance of masks. So if your face is covered, the aerosol won't be generated, and it won't be able to pass through the mask and go out. And that is why wearing a mask is of importance. Will arsenic album 30 help to increase immunity? I'm not the right person to answer that, because that's a homeopathic medicine. But the homeopaths say it is of help to increase your immunity. If you believe in that, you might as well take. I believe it doesn't harm you. So if you believe in homeopathy, and if you believe it's going to increase your immunity, you can take it. So we all know that doctors. Okay, so there's a good question that We all know that doctors have played such an important role in the testing times of COVID. My question to you is that what motivates you to go out every day and fight this invisible enemy? Uh, I think when we all decided as a career to be doctors, I think we can't just shy away from this. Uh, there is a fear, of course, in all the doctors, and we know for sure we are losing a few of our fraternity to this virus. But there are. I have a big role model in front of me. My mom, she's 78. She's a gynecologist, and she's very much working. And she's telling me, if I don't work, who's going to take care of my patients? And I think that is what is keeping us moving. People need us, they need our expertise, and that is why we are there. There was another nurse in my hospital whose parents told her, you are not going to go to the hospital, not going to work. So she told her father, why did you make me a nurse if you didn't want me to work? So these things, they give us positivity, and they make us feel that we should work and we should be able to give back to the society from whatever experience, from the knowledge we have. Could you name some? Okay, so as I said, for exercises, it's difficult me to name exercises, but what you could do is simple stretching of your neck, doing chin tucks, which is a very good exercise for your neck. If you can see my screen, a chin tuck is basically you take your head forwards, and then with your two fingers, you can just press your chin down. So doing this exercise helps for your neck pain. What you could do also is sideways stretching this way, and then what you can do is keep one hand on the head and one hand on the shoulder and stretch both the sides, which makes you feel a good stretch around your neck, and that will make you feel quite good. So you can do these five times and you will feel much better. Also, those who are in front of a computer or along, you should do shrugs, forward, backwards, complete round, and the other way round. For your knees and the hips, you can do floor exercises, but not on the floor. If your knees are hurting, you're not advised to sit on a low sitting also, or on the ground. But what you could do is maybe lie on your bed, and you can keep a small pillow below your knee and try and push your knee down and push the pillow down, which will help you to contract your muscles around the knee, and that will help to keep your knee healthy. Secondly, what you can do is, if these are your feet, what you can do is take them down and up, and also rotate clockwise and anti-clockwise. And this is also a good exercise for your ankle and your calf muscles. Which medicines we need to take for immunity booster? So the main medicines as such for immunity would be to take a multivitamin, take vitamin D, and vitamin D is available as 60,000 units. You need to take it once a week. You can take any kind of a multivitamin. Multivitamin containing zinc is a better option. So you have Bico zinc, which is a good combination. You can take Supradine. You need to take vitamin D, and you need to take vitamin C. So all these are available commercially. You can take those preparations, or you can add it in your food. For vitamin D, sunlight is very important. So if you expose your skin to sunlight, you will get vitamin D. Preferable to do that in the morning. If you are getting sun in your house, it's good that you go and expose your skin to the sunlight. Otherwise, in food, there are hardly any vegetarian sources of vitamin D. The only thing I have seen is mushrooms, which are grown in UV light. In non-vegetarian food, most of the seafoods and the egg yolk is rich in vitamin D. So you should be taking all these. You can take egg, which is again give you some amount of zinc as well as vitamin D and a lot of protein. How are diabetic people more vulnerable to COVID? So yeah, as I said, there are a few subgroup of patients who are much more prone to COVID. One is those who are of the elderly in the house, whose age is higher, those who have comorbid conditions like diabetes and hypertension. The problem now has been is because of 2 months of lockdown, people are not uh, able to do their exercises, they're not able to go for walks. Secondly, the monitoring which was happening, the regular monitoring of their sugars, their blood pressure is not happening. So I think now we need to also change our habits, in the sense, uh, buy a BP apparatus at home, the electronic one, and you can yourself monitor what's your blood pressure and keep a record of that, so that you know that your blood pressure is under control. Buy a glucometer which is easily available, and do home testing of your sugar, because it's important that the people who have diabetes, blood pressure, they monitor their sugars and BP, and see to it that they are under control, and maintain the control, so that their health remains normal. And I would give this advice to all the people, that don't neglect your existing medical conditions because of COVID. Now it's like, people are scared to go to the hospital, but if you're not well, you need to go. If you're not feeling well, there's no point just sitting at home. It's not going to be okay just sitting at home. You need to go to the hospital and go and get yourself tested, or else you start having measures at home itself, so that you can monitor your sugar as well as your BP. If any parent in the family is going out for work, then do they require to use mask in home? So as I said, either they it's not so comfortable wearing the mask the whole time. Uh, Even as doctors, though we are used to wearing mask for a short period, it's okay. It's not a very great feeling. It's a bit suffocating if you're wearing the mask the whole time. So it is not advisable to wear a mask the whole time, not at home. But like, again, if you're going too close, if you're going too close to your elderly people, if you're going too close to your kids, maybe, and if you're getting exposed too much to outside people, then maybe you can wear mask at home. But otherwise, maintaining a social distance is a better option, I feel, than wearing a mask at home. But it is up to you if you feel you're comfortable. The second thing about mask, again, is, where if you're not used to wearing a mask, you tend to touch your face a lot, adjusting it, pulling it down, taking it up again. So you want to avoid your fingers going close to your nose and mouth if you're not washing them all the time. So if you're wearing a mask, don't keep on fiddling with it. That's not a great idea, because if you keep fiddling, you may end up, from the outside of the mask, putting the virus on your face, which you don't want. So see to it that you wear a mask which is comfortable, it doesn't irritate you or doesn't make your skin itchy, and uh, wearing it at home, I don't think is a very comfortable thing to do. You can always have maintain social distance. Should we take a bath immediately after coming from outside? I think it is advisable to do it. Uh, it makes you feel fresh, of course, taking the bath, and secondly, I believe it will, whatever surfaces you've touched in accidentally, you're getting rid of that. If you have, as I said, elderly and children also, I think you should make it a habit that whenever they are going out and coming back, that they have a proper bath with warm water and soap. Somebody's asked me about remdesivir. Yes, that's it is showing promising results in some of the studies. As I said, most of the drugs are under evaluation, but remdesivir is showing good results, and even other drugs are showing good results in critically ill patients. So I think the medical fraternity is working out on which drugs, which is the best regime which will work for this COVID. So I believe now somebody's asked me some advice about screen addiction. I believe with so much time in the lockdown, the screen addiction is going to go higher. But I believe most children should be craving to go out because they have been tied down in the house for such a long time. And as I said, uh, and of course it has to be after the local bodies give us permission to go out, but we as responsible parents should maybe take our kid out downstairs in our building compound without allowing them to touch here and there, maybe just to for a small stroll, or as I said, maybe a small cycling activity in the building compound. And I think that should be good enough to reduce. most parents are working, the both husband, wife, now with no domestic help, even with the additional thing of the household chores also to be done. And then the kids, so that they don't disturb you, you give them your mobile or your iPad and laptop and increase their addiction to the screen. Maybe you should involve them in doing your household chores where they don't end up increasing your work. And also with the online classes, and once the schools also start their online classes, I think their minds will be occupied with other things. And I believe as parents you can indulge your children into much more productive things, increasing their hobbies, making them do more things. I think something that way will reduce their screen addiction. What is the remedy for weak muscles and bones? And the real remedy for weak muscles is exercise, because there are no medicines to strengthen your muscles. The muscles can only become strong if you exercise. If you exercise, if you make your muscles strong, automatically your bones will also become stronger. So for your bones, of course, you need, and for your muscles, you need vitamin D, which is very important. And though we have abundance of sunlight, it's like 80% of our population is deficient in vitamin D. Because if you're a vegetarian, the food which will give you vitamin D is there are hardly any vegetarian food which will give you vitamin D. So it's only the sunlight. And if you are in the sunlight, your skin has to be exposed to the sunlight. If you're wearing if you're completely covered with clothes, and if you go in the sunlight, you're not going to get any vitamin D. So if you, in your balcony during the morning sun, if you go and expose your skin, you will get vitamin D. Or else you start taking vitamin D supplements, which I strongly recommend to boost your immunity, to make your bones and muscles strong. Also, you can increase your magnesium intake. So you will get magnesium in most of the seeds, and also in the grains and in dairy products. What is the remedy? Okay, in the coming rainy season, do we require to? So during rainy season, it's always good to boil your water and drink, because there is a lot of water everywhere, and there are good chances of the water getting contaminated in our water supply chain. And it's always a good idea to use boiled water in rainy season. Can we get dental treatment done? I think I need root canal. So I believe most dentists are not working as such, because they are scared, because they have to work close to the mouth. But if it is just root canal, I'm sure you can wait. You can take some antibiotics and painkillers and postpone your root canal till things are better off. For children aged 6 to 7 years, which vitamin and zinc medicine you recommend? Mm, So, as I said, you can use any multivitamin syrup. You have Zinco syrup, which is zinc and multivitamins, but you need to give additional vitamin D, because most of these multivitamins do not have adequate amount of vitamin D. And for children, you have vitamin D preparations also as a liquid form available in the market, which you could give once a week to them, at least for 8 weeks. Is non-veg food right to eat at this stage? Should we have to take any precaution? So, non-veg food is okay to take, but the only thing when you're taking non-veg is that you need to really cook it well. Your non-veg food needs to be cooked really well before you consume it. And I believe most of our Indian preparations include cooking them really well. And as long as they are cooked on proper heat, I don't think there is any problem with eating non-vegetarian food. So preventive measures for students, prevention for COVID, as I said, luckily children are not affected that badly, but at the same time, they should be taking all the precautions that we advise adults. Children below 2 years, you're not going to make them wear any masks. They are not going to keep it on, and don't attempt to do that also. Those who are a little older, they might start understanding, and they might allow putting on a mask, and I think you should make them wear a mask. Secondly, when they are traveling, 2-3 things maybe once the school opens or when they start moving out is to prevent too much of movement of things, too much movement of books, bags and things from the school to the house, from the house to the school. So we prevent this. Second, when they are in the bus or in traveling, see to it that they maintain distance. Now usually children like to be together and they will be playing together, but then they need to be told that in this time it is better to be a little away from each other, not touch each other, and especially not touch their face when they are touching other surfaces. Keep whenever they reach, wash their hand with soap and water. If soap and water is not available, then maybe use a hand sanitizer to sanitize their hands, especially if they are touching the railing, they're touching the handles of the bus, then they need to sanitize their hands, because children comparatively touch their face maybe more than the adults, and so that is why it is essential that they sanitize their hands. I would prefer with soap and water than use of chemicals, because children can be a little careless with chemicals, with like the hand sanitizers. Maybe put in the hand sanitizers and then putting again touching their face. So soap and water is always a better for uh, cleaning your hands for children. Again, and one more thing I see commonly is people wearing gloves and using gloves when they are moving around. The gloves are a protective thing to wear, but the thing is you should be sanitizing your gloves also. Like if you're wearing gloves and you think now I am safe, but you're touching everywhere, and then you take the glove, you touch your mobile phone, you touch your face, it's of no use because your gloves are contaminated touching here and there. So if you're using gloves, you need to sanitize your gloves with a sanitizer. I think the better option is to wash your hands regularly and avoid touching your face again and again. Avoid touching your face. Keep washing your hands. Avoid touching surfaces like commonly used surfaces like railings, your lift buttons. So you can use your elbow to press the lift button rather than use your finger. And in this simple way you can prevent. But as I said, the mode of transmission of the virus through surfaces is not the primary mode. The main mode is aerosol, but still we need to be careful when we are in public spaces. And that is very important that you don't unnecessarily touch different things. So I would like to end this session with 2-3 very important things. We need to be careful, and that is going to be our new normal: wearing a mask, maintaining social distance, and washing our hands, keeping our hands clean, and avoiding touching our face. So these are the main important things. uh, if you take care of this, I think we will be much better off from this COVID thing. And stop stigmatizing COVID. I'm sure we will be okay and we will overcome this fear and this COVID also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tejas. That was such a wonderful session. You took out time. It is very correctly said that God could not be everywhere, so He created three roles. Mothers, teachers, and doctors. And we could very well see that you people are putting your lives on the stake for all of us and fighting it out like warriors there. So we would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, sir, for doing the entire doctor fraternity, the entire medical fraternity, for being out there for us, sir. Secondly, we are very proud that you are a student of Singhania School and you were able to address all the students and the
Yeah,
parents here today.
that makes me happy also. It's a real great pleasure to be back on, as I said, on my school's YouTube channel. That's a real nice feeling.
It was so wonderful. And sir, I would really like to appreciate the changes abbreviation that you gave us, the 3 C's:
Yeah.
help each other, have the right attitude, throw out negativity out of the window, grow together, empower each other, and most importantly, social distancing. So with folded hands, we thank you again, sir, for taking out time for us for this wonderful session. And we thank Revati ma'am again for having you on the platform. It was a very brilliant initiative of answering the questions. There were small questions that parents had, students had, and we are so happy that you were able to answer all of them, sir. So we can't thank you enough. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks. Okay,
All right,
thank you again.
parents. Thank you, sir. All right, parents and students, thank you for tuning in. So now a very important part. Most of our students are online the whole day, online classes, playing games, watching various websites, going to social media. How secure are they? How secure is the data, with many games being downloaded, many apps on social media? What about the data? What are our children sharing? Is it safe enough? Are the websites that they're visiting safe enough? So there is a lot of question among the parents relating to cyber security. So to answer this, we are calling none other than the ex-police commissioner of Mumbai, Mr. D. Shivanandan, who is an expert on cyber security, to answer these questions. His session is on 1st of June at 5 p.m. So please log in without fail to make sure that our children are safe when they are online. So in case if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you get the notification as soon as we go live. Thank you so much, Dr. Upasani. Thank you so much, Revati ma'am. Thank you, teachers, students, and parents for logging in for this wonderful session. We will now see you on the 1st of June with Mr. D. Shivanandan. Thank you so much.